Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Nils at Idaho Pulse. Normally we do real estate based videos, but I'm installing something in my garage and I thought it might be useful to some people to see how it's done. So I went ahead and added this video to our YouTube channel. Normally you would want to hire an electrician to do something like this. I've been around electricians. I've done a lot of wiring in houses in the past. I'm very confident in my abilities to run wires and hook up electrical circuits. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, but as a disclaimer, you definitely want to hire an electrician if you're not 100% sure of what you're doing. So this isn't something that's going to be something an amateur wants to do if you're not sure how to do it or if you can pull it off. So just as a disclaimer, that's kind of my story. So anyways, let's go ahead and take a look around the garage and I'll show you kind of some of the parts that we're going to use and show you kind of the layout of how the run's going to go. So let's get to it. Okay, so as you'd imagine, the first step is to basically get up into the attic. So what we're going to do is we're going to set a ladder up here and we're going to go ahead and go up there and look around and see kind of what the layout is. One of the things that I'm kind of concerned about, because I haven't actually looked up here yet, I've been in the attic but never over here to look at this side of the house. Sometimes what happens is when you get to the edge of a garage or the edge of a house in general, you're going to wind up with the top plate, which is the piece of wood that goes above here, is going to be so close to the outside that you can't get your body up because the roof line tapers down. So this house has a nice overhang on the edge, and so I'm hoping that once I get up there, I'll have a little bit of room to where I can kind of wedge myself and drill down through the top plate, maybe at an angle. The other nice thing is this house has a light right here. I'm hoping that helps me a little bit. I'm not sure if the wires go straight up. Typically, I would think they would. So hopefully that'll help me kind of gauge where I'm going as far as where I'm drilling my holes. So let's get up in the attic and take a look around a little bit. Alright, so we made it up inside the attic here, so I'm going to try my best to show you guys what it looks like up here above the cars. So right here, in that general area over there, is kind of the direction we're going to run the wire. We're going to go that direction, we're going to run it against the wood on the bottom underneath the insulation, run it across the floor there, or the ceiling I should say, and then somewhere over here in this area is going to be the wires coming down, and those are going to be where the panel wires come in, somewhere under the insulation there. I thought there was a spot you could see it coming in over there, but I don't see it. So that's essentially the plan. So what I'm going to do, I can't film while I'm doing this for obvious reasons, so I'm going to go ahead and crawl over to the corner, and I'll kind of show you what it looks like over there towards the edge of the house there once I get there. Alright, so we are on the other side now, looking back at the opening. So what we have here is we have the edge of the house. It's a little bit less room than I was hoping for. Behind that insulation right over there, there is a top plate, but it's very close. So what I got to do now is go back down and set something up so I can tell where I am. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Maybe a glow rod, and poke it up, and so I know where I'm going to be drilling. And then I'll come back up with a paddle bit and see if I can get through. So that's the next step. So we're going to go back down and go ahead and try to set ourselves up now that we know what it looks like up here. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to mark out where the studs are on the wall. We're going to find out exactly where we're going to run this wire down. So I like to use blue tape, so we're going to go ahead and rip off some blue tape and we're going to mark out exactly where we're looking. So start in a spot. Looks like we have a bunch of wood in the middle, like I said earlier. We're going to mark off. And we're going to go ahead and find another. We're going to mark the end. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just gives you a rough idea. In fact, I like to go a little bit outside just to be sure. A little further than you have to, just so you know where the edge is. And then I like to go one more time just to triple check. So it looks like it's right there. There's some wood. So in theory, this is all empty. And it starts again there. So we might just mark that out just for good measure. So this is our area that we're going to be looking. I believe I saw a fire block. Yeah, fire block is right there. So we're going to put it somewhere up there. I haven't climbed up to see if there's anything up there as far as a fire block. We're just going to have to see what happens on that one. I don't have a step stool here. So let's mark out and see where we're going to be going so we know where we are in the attic. All right, so what I'm going to do now, and there's a lot of different ways that you could tackle this as far as seeing where you're supposed to drill. When you're up in the attic, as you saw up there, it's really hard to get perspective on where you are. It's hard to tell where you're supposed to go. So I like to look for things that are obvious on the outside and obvious on the inside. Or what you could do if you can't find that is, this way is a little more intrusive, but what I've done in the past is if I can't find any other way to get a marking, I'll drill like a tiny little hole and I'll put a glow stick up and poke it up exactly where I want to go, and that'll give me perspective. I can go up and find it, and I can always patch a little hole real easily with some patch and paint. So in this situation, on the edge of the eave here, we have a vent, and it's almost lined up with where I want to go. So the eave is right there, the vent is there. I'm going to be going somewhere in that area there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a tape measure up there, and I'm going to measure over, and that way when I get up there I can measure from the vent and I can kind of get a good spot of where I want to drill. So I'm going to do that right. Alright, so originally what I was going to do is I was going to run the wires inside the wall, but because of the amount of wood that's in there at the very top there, where the beam would be, because of the thickness of the beam that's in there, I'm going to go ahead and run it on the surface using some conduit. So we're going to be using this conduit. The idea would be to have it go through the drywall and the ceiling, come down and connect to this box here, something like this with some connections to there. And then we'll trim it out with the proper outlet and the proper covers. So at this point, that's going to be the route that we have to go, just because of what's inside the wall, it's exterior and so on. So this is the method we're going to go with right now. Alright, so now what we have here is we have our boxes installed and our vertical conduit going up, and we've connected it to the box. So I'll give you a little close-up in a second, but as you can see here, we have the box at the bottom there, and then we have the connection, and then we have the conduit. That's really all we've done. We're going to secure it to the wall using some double siders as well. So we're just going to kind of secure it, but for now it's actually in the ceiling. So alright guys, so now that we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to go back up inside the attic up top, and we're going to run that big thick wire, the 3 conductor up there. We're going to go from the fuse panel as I described earlier, and we're going to go across the attic and then down the conduit into the box. So that's the next step we're going to do right now. Alright, so what I did was we've gotten the wire ran through the attic. I went ahead and punched out one of these up top with a larger hole and put a grommet in there to protect it, ran it through down there. So I carved a little bit of this drywall out. It's covered up by the lip of the the panel there, and that just allowed me to kind of see where the glow rod was. That's what I used to run the wire down the wall. I couldn't get it through the hole, so I cut a little bit of a gap so I could reach a needle nose or a screwdriver to kind of guide it through the hole. I shut the power off to this whole panel here before I did any of this, just to make sure that I wasn't gonna touch the wrong thing when I was running the wires. So ran this down here. I ran the neutral, which is the white wire, to this neutral bar right here on the right. On the left is the ground bar there, so I ran the copper to that. And then I have the red and the black, which are my hots, going to the 50 amp breaker right here. So I have the red and the black going to the breaker. I have the white one going to the neutral bar, which is this guy. And then I have my ground bar right there, which I hooked up the small uninsulated copper wire. And then this breaker just snaps in. I did it before. I didn't want to have to do it on camera. But it snaps in this side first. You angle it and it clicks in while it's sticking out at an angle, and then you do this and you just flatten it and it clicks in. So it's very simple. Once you try it, start with the left side towards the wires, kind of angle it in, and then push this side and it'll click in. So it's very simple. So that's pretty much it for the panel, other than putting the door on. The breaker is still off right now. I have not turned it on yet. I'm going to go ahead and show you the other side now and show you what the connection looks like at the actual outlet. Okay, so on this side I had to make a slight adjustment. The wire was a little bit shorter than I had anticipated when I measured, simply because of the route that I had to take in the attic. I ordered a 50-foot piece, had it pre-cut, and turned out to be about 3 feet shorter than I wanted, which wasn't a big deal. I went ahead and just shortened the conduit by about 2 to 3 feet. So it used to be mounted there, as you can see, which I had earlier in the video. And all I did was I just shortened the conduit and mounted the box higher. So I didn't want to necessarily show that on video. It was just kind of an alternative way to do it. So that was just a way to make it work for my situation. So I'm going to basically end up mounting the Tesla charger here. So it's going to be plugged in there. It's going to be mounted there. I'm going to have the cord come down and have a little loop right here with a little hanger for the cord. So it'll work out fine for my purposes the way it is right now. The next step is to close up the box, test everything, plug it in, see if it works, and then we can finalize it with the finishing touches with the plug hangers and everything like that. Okay, so at the actual outlet, what I've done is I've screwed it into this mud ring here. That's what this is called. There's a few different ways you can trim this out. This is how I chose to do it. Gives it a little bit more depth there. It's a little thicker. So this plug mounts to the actual mud ring, as you can see right there. So those screws right there, screw it into it and secure it to the plate. That's one way to do it. This is how I chose. The box configuration, where the screw holes are and everything, just matches up with this. So that's how I decided to go with this. There's other boxes if you want to do it. However, I really wanted to mount it inside the wall and have a flush plate like I did with the other side. But since this is an exterior wall and we have a large header here, I went ahead and went this route. Up here, I'm going to end up caulking this in and making it look nice when it's all done. But for right now, we're still working on functionality. So just to show you right here, the actual hookup. So we have 4 wires. These are all 6 gauge wires. We have 2 hots, so we have a red one and a black one. These are the 2 that are hooked up to the actual breaker box. Then we have a white one, which is our neutral, and that's hooked up to the silver screw. And then we have our ground, which is the green screw, which is right there. So what I did was I just torqued it down as tight as I possibly could without breaking it or anything, stripping it. So these 2, the black and the red, just to remind you, are the ones that go to the actual breaker. And then this one goes to that neutral bar on the panel. And then this one goes to the ground bar in the panel. So that's it. And basically just making sure that it's nice and tight. It's a little bit tight inside here, so I may end up tucking these up a little higher. I'm not sure once I do it, but that's just kind of depends on how much room I have inside the box without putting too much stress on the wires. So next up is to secure the mud ring to the box and see how it all fits. All right, so we have our box connected. We've got the breaker turned on. We have our plug plugged in, our NEMA 1450 outlets. We are going to plug it in. We have green, that's a good sign. And the final thing we are going to plug it in and make sure that everything works. Here's the moment of truth. And we have charging. All right, looks like we are charging. I don't know if you can read that or not. It's going up. Alright guys, so we're kind of at the end of the installation here. So what we've done basically now is just installed some finishing touches on it. Ordered a real simple mounting kit from Amazon just to kind of hold the travel charger on the wall, and then also give it somewhere for the wires to wrap around. So now that that's done, we've charged the car up. Everything works perfect. No issues whatsoever. Car charges super fast. So I'd say this is a huge success. So hopefully you guys learned something with this, and even if you're not comfortable doing this, at least you'll understand how the process goes. So when you're hiring an electrician, at least you're not one of those people that's just standing there nodding their head. You actually understand what they're doing and how they're going to do it, so you don't get taken advantage of. So anyways, again, just to reiterate, if you're not comfortable doing this kind of installation, working with electricity, working with 240, working inside a fuse panel, or running wires, going in the attic, that kind of stuff, please don't do it. It's not worth it. Just hire an electrician. But if you're one of those handymen that know how to do it, and you've worked with your hands, climbed in the attic, you've opened up panels, done wiring for a living, that kind of stuff, this is a good tutorial on how it was done, for me at least. Every house is a little different. If it was 2 stories, it might be a little bit more challenging. You have to cut a little more drywall. Lucky for me, it's a 1-story house, so it was really easy. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. We do a lot of real estate based businesses. We do some home improvement stuff. So whatever we can do, we'll put up and show you guys. So until next time, thanks again for watching, and go to idahopulse.com for any information on our services. Thanks.